Hello everyone, I'm Michaela Kathleen, and in this video, I'm doing a game of Redeem, Ally, Kill. And I saw this over on Jesse the Reader's channel, and it's pretty similar to two other videos I've done recently, one of which was also Jesse. And basically, they're all variations, bookish variations of Fuck, Marry, Kill. So the concept of this one is I'm going to be drawing book villains out of this mug 3 at a time, and I have to pick one villain to redeem, one villain to ally with, and one villain to kill. So jumping right in with our first set. First we have President Coin from the Hunger Games. I tried not to do more than 2 villains in any given book or series. So I do have President Snow in here somewhere. We'll see if we'll get him. I'm planning to do 3 sets of 10, and I have more than 30 names here. 10 sets of 3, sorry. But number 2 on this first set is Benrude from The First Girl Child. This is not a super popular book, so you may not be familiar with him. He is an evil chieftain in this fantasy book. The concept of the book is he gets this woman pregnant and abandons her, and she dies giving birth, but before she dies, she curses the land to have no more girls born. It's actually a really good quote in the book. I'm gonna read it real quick. "We are abused, we are used, we are bartered and abandoned, but rarely are we loved. So be it. From this day forward, there will be no daughters in Saylock for any of you to love." So that kind of sums up our villain in this book. He's kind of an asshole, and eventually he's angling to try to be king. So finally, our third villain, I promise I won't put that much explanation on each and every villain, but our third villain is Eli from Vicious by V.E. Schwab. And Vicious is a series where our 2 main characters are trying to get superpowers, and they end up kind of turning against each other, and Eli is our villain of the 2, I believe. I think the other one is named Victor, and I'm pretty sure I have it the right way around, that Eli's the villain and Victor's like the real main character. Although arguably neither of these characters are exactly perfect. But honestly, I think I'm gonna redeem Eli just because he is such a complex, interesting character, and he does have kind of a difficult past that we are given a peek into. These other 2 characters, we don't get much of their past lives to really explain how they got here. So I'm gonna redeem Eli. I'm probably gonna ally with President Coin, because even though I don't agree with a lot of her tactics, and I do kind of agree with Katniss turning against her in the end, overall, I mean, she did want a good thing. President Snow needed to not be president anymore. Just President Coin definitely shouldn't have been taking over for him. And that leaves killing Benrude, which I'm very comfortable with. He's an asshole in a whole different way than some villains. But round 2, we have Warden Worth from Horror Store by Grady Hendrix. This is a horror novel, and Warden Worth is a ghost who used to run a prison and was just very sadistic about it, and is now haunting the earth, continuing to try to control people. Next we have Fred from The Handmaid's Tale. Literal rapist, he can burn. And finally, Lottie Getz from The Last Book in the Universe, which is my favorite book of all time, but is not very well known. This one is by Rodman Philbrick, and it's a dystopian book, and Lottie Getz is kind of a badass chick who basically runs a biker gang. So I'm gonna be Lottie's ally, because she's cool. And then even though he is terrible, he is a ghost, so I feel like he's gotten to the point where he maybe hasn't earned his redemption, but he's dead and in that sense deserves redemption. Like, once someone's dead, leave them alone. But Fred, as I said, burn in hell. Round 3, we have Percy Wetmore from Green Mile. Very despicable character. He's again, a prison guard, a trend here, and again, treats the prisoners very poorly. It is uncalled for. Next, we have Carmelita Spatz from A Series of Unfortunate Events. She's just kind of a really mean girl, but she's also like 12. And finally, the Overlook Hotel from The Shining. So, not a person, obviously. Pretty easy, gonna redeem Carmelita. She's just a kid. I think given the right guidance, she could turn it around. And then am I gonna burn the Overlook like in the book but not the movie? Maybe. But I can't ally with... Ally? He is my ally, but I ally with him? I don't know. I can't be Percy's ally. That's how I'm gonna word it. Because he's just... ugh. He just makes your skin crawl. So I'm gonna kill Percy and gonna ally with the Overlook Hotel? I don't know what form that takes. Maybe I get people to go to the hotel. I trick them to going to the hotel, which makes me the villain. But I guess in all these scenarios, we are, for 1/3 of the game, pretending I'm the villain, or a villain. But anyways, round 4. We have Voldemort. I don't think anyone needs an introduction to Voldemort. So he's up against the White Witch from the Chronicles of Narnia. Good pairing there. Both children's fantasy, very famous children's fantasies. And finally, the dad, I don't remember his name, from Imposters by Scott Westerfeld. This is a spin-off of the Ugly series. And the dad just kind of wants to run the world and spy on everyone. And he uses one of his twin daughters to be like bullet bait for the other twin daughter. And it's all just really fucked up. So I would say we have 3 properly evil villains here. I think I'm gonna redeem Voldemort and hear me out. We're gonna get a time turner. We're gonna go back. We're gonna make Voldemort's mom not sexually assault his dad. And therefore he can be born not using a love potion and therefore capable of having feelings and feeling love. And therefore, hopefully not evil. So we're redeeming Voldemort through that very arduous task. We are killing the dad from the Imposters because I just can't stand him. It's like a Percy Wetmore situation. And I'm gonna be an ally with the White Witch. Because again, she's a bad bitch and she's cool. The topic of villains calls for so much cursing. Okay, next pairing, number 5, halfway through, the Volturi from Twilight. Obviously, this is multiple people. Vampires. They run the vampire world. They are up against Tigerclaw from the Warrior Cats series. I was obsessed with these books as a kid. I think they're reasonably well known. And Tigerclaw, he's like Scar, kind of. He's a very impressive cat villain. And then finally for this set, we have President Snow. This is a tough one. I'm gonna redeem Tigerclaw because he's just a cat. He did do some properly evil things, but he is a cat. And then the Volturi and President Snow, I have to be an ally with one and kill the other. It's dangerous to be an ally of either of these. As a human, the Volturi are likely to eat me one day, or turn me into a vampire, which I guess wouldn't be the worst thing. I could be a vegetarian vampire. I wonder what my superpower would be, because that's the only way they're turning me. I'm gonna ally with the Volturi on the gamble that they're gonna turn me and not eat me, and kill President Snow, because again, it's very dangerous to be his ally because he's known for murdering his allies. Next, round 6, we have Vita Bleak, also from The Last Book in the Universe, and where Lottie gets what she wants and is a leader of essentially a biker gang, Vita Bleak has his Furies. These are assassins dressed all in black. He pretends to be very scary, but when it comes down to it, the loud biker gang are superior. Vita is a bit more show than anything else. And he runs like the underground black market. So he is up against Professor Umbridge from Harry Potter, the most hated villain of all time, and Pekka Rollins from Six of Crows, also a pretty hated villain. I can't redeem any of these fuckers. I'm gonna redeem Vita Bleak because he wronged me personally the least of all of these. And then, oh no, that means I have to ally with one of these people. Okay, obviously I'm killing Umbridge. It's the way it has to be, which means, unfortunately, I'm gonna be an ally for Pekka Rollins, which maybe I should be an ally of Vita, even though I feel, but then Pekka gets to be redeemed, and that's even worse. So yeah, I'm gonna have to be an ally with Pekka and just hate myself. Round 7. That was a tough round. We have Sauron from Lord of the Rings, one of the biggest, baddest villains, but one of those villains that you never actually get to see. And he's going up against Scythe Goddard from Scythe by Neal Shusterman, who is a really interesting villain. That's what I will give him. He's a very fascinating villain. And third, Abaddon from the Land of Elyon. This was a childhood favorite fantasy series, and Abaddon is very much a Sauron type villain. He's essentially implied to be Satan, and we never really actually see him, I don't think. And he's just one of those looming, all-powerful type villains. Am I redeeming Satan? Should I redeem Satan? No. Let's look. Abaddon versus Sauron. Essentially the same villain, just one from a much more famous series. Except Sauron is not, I don't think, implied to essentially be Satan. Not if my lore holds up, which it might not, considering I haven't really read the books. And then we have Scythe Goddard. I'm gonna redeem Scythe Goddard since he is a human being, and most human beings, if they put in enough work, deserve redemption. Yes, I'm questioning it as I'm saying it. It's fine. But compared to these guys, he deserves the, if he can do enough good things, whatever, I guess we can redeem him. And then I'm gonna be an ally of one of these and kill the other one. This is a game that really puts you in a tough corner choosing between ally or redeem, because they're villains, and usually you don't want to do either with any of them. I guess I'll ally with Sauron, because he's more famous. And then kill Abaddon. Round 8, getting towards the end. We have Mayor Prentice from The Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness. And he's just, what's the word when you're just like overly fucking religious? When you're like really annoying about it and you want to kill a bunch of people because religion. He's one of those guys. Let's go on to number 2 on this list, Bellatrix from Harry Potter. She's crazy evil, but also a bad bitch. And finally, Capricorn from Inkheart, which I'm currently rereading. And he's a villain within a villain, in the sense that the whole concept of Inkheart is that the main character, when he reads aloud, things come out of books. Things that are in the books come out into the real world. And one of those things is the villain of this fictional book, Inkheart, comes out into the real world. And like, I've always liked him as a villain. He's got interesting traits. He's kind of evil for evil's sake, but that's fine because he's a villain within a villain, a book within a book. So you don't necessarily, it makes perfect sense for him to be evil for evil's sake. Usually that's a bad thing in books, but I think in a book within a book situation, it works. So, I don't even want to redeem him. Like, I like that he's a villain and he's gonna be my ally. And then I'm gonna kill Mayor Prentice because I fucking hate him, and I'm gonna redeem Bellatrix? That can't be right. Maybe I've allied with all of the bad bitches. Should I just ally with her too? No, I'm not redeeming Capricorn. I'm allying with him, and we're redeeming Bellatrix. I don't know. Maybe someone, gets her away from Voldemort, detoxes her from her love and obsession with Voldemort, and manages to turn her into a good person somehow. We're saying that's how that works. Round 9. Big Brother from 1984. So this is not a person again, this is a government. Boo to bad governments. May we stop waking up to new bad governments. Next, we have Mr. Sir from Holes. And he's just kind of an asshole dick. A little bit of a Bellatrix situation, I feel. I feel like he's just kind of obsessed with the warden. I think he's secretly in love with her. I think he's just following along with her, doing whatever she does, because he just doesn't have his own life. And third, we have Lavanna from The Lunar Chronicles. And she, honestly, I just want to see her looks. She knows fashion. She just can slay. We're killing Big Brother. Fuck bad governments. And then, yeah, I'm gonna redeem Mr. Sir, because like I said, I think he's just, doesn't have a mind of his own. He's just doing what the warden tells him to do. He needs a new influence. And Levana I'm gonna ally with, and I'm just gonna sit back and watch her, you know, operate every day. And like tell her, girl, you look great today. Are you committing crimes? Yes. But you're slaying while you slay, so we're gonna look past it. And then final round, we have Cable. Dr. Cable from Uglies. Uglies by Scott Westfeld, the original series the imposters shot off from. And she's an evil scientist. Not a bad bitch the way some of the other ladies here have been. And then we have the Warden from Holes. As established, she's the real villain here. More so than Mr. Sir. Mr. Pendanski also kind of a real villain. Why do I keep saying villain? Kind of a real villain in like a he's insecure so he has to take it out on everyone else kind of way. Not in a he's dumb like Mr. Sir kind of way. And then finally, Galbatorix from The Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paolini. And for Galbatorix, we are also, like some of these villains, not all, given kind of a sad sob story, backstory as to why he's acting this way. Same with the Warden from Holes, also a sob story. Cable, we don't really get much background. So whose sob story is more compelling? Galbatorix, who's essentially soulmate on like the deepest level you can imagine, died and was refused to be given a new soulmate, but not like a romantic soulmate. So like it's less icky. And the Warden just being overworked by her grandfather as a child, which is very legitimate. She was an actual child when her trauma happened. Galbatorix was a young adult. And then Cable is just kind of evil scientist, just vibing on the science, using it for evil purposes. So I'm gonna kill Cable. Galbatorix arguably murders more people and causes more damage, but I'm gonna kill Cable anyways, which leaves me to redeem. I'm gonna redeem the Warden, and Galbatorix will be my ally because he's practically all powerful. So good ally to have, really. And that was it for my redeem, ally, kill bookish villains game. I hope you enjoyed watching. Remember, words matter.